Hello students, as we have completed the chapter that is motion in a plane, today I will be solving few numericals from the book. The question number in your book might be different, but the questions are there in the book. So just check before you refer to the book, okay? I think question number 1 is same, but few of the questions, the number might be different. So I will be solving few questions. Number 1, the question is, the magnitude of two mutually perpendicular vectors P and Q are 5 and 7 respectively. Draw a labeled vector diagram showing the magnitude and direction of P plus Q and P minus Q. So question number 1, there are two vectors P and Q mutually perpendicular. So in the first case, the vector P magnitude of vector P is 5, Q is 7. So these two vectors are mutually perpendicular. So first of all, let us do for P plus Q. So vector P and Q are mutually perpendicular. If this is vector P, the magnitude is 5. Vector Q is 7, quite longer, okay, slightly longer than vector P. So these two are vectors mutually perpendicular. So now the resultant vector will be P plus Q and it will be the hypotenuse according to the law of triangle. If you follow the law of triangle, this vector, which is the hypotenuse, is the resultant vector, that is P plus Q, and the direction will be upward. So vector P and Q are mutually perpendicular. P plus Q is the hypotenuse. Now what we have to find is, we have to find the magnitude of this vector. So if these are the two sides of a right angle triangle, this is the hypotenuse. So hypotenuse P plus Q square is equals to base, this is the base, P square plus Q square. So P is 5, Q is 7, and if you remove this, there will be under root. So 5 square plus 7 square. Solve this, the answer will be 8.6. This will be the answer. This is the magnitude. This is in the case of P plus Q. Now we also have to find in the case of P minus Q. So for P minus Q, if this is P, Q is again mutually perpendicular, but it is minus. It is minus, so the direction will be opposite. Now the resultant vector will also be different in direction. So P, Q is minus, so resultant vector P minus Q will be opposite in direction as that of P plus Q. So what is the difference in both the situation? The magnitude is the same. Okay, if P is 5, if Q is 7, the magnitude will be 8.6 only, but the direction of P plus Q is upward, whereas P minus Q is downward. This is the difference. Okay, so this is the answer. Magnitude is 8.6 for both, but the directions are opposite or different. That's for question number 1. Now we'll move to question number 3. Question number 3 is a velocity of a particle moving in a circular path. So first of all, let me draw a circular path. Okay, there is a circular path. A particle is moving in a circular path. Okay, is 5 centimeter towards north at any instant. So suppose at any instant, we can take at any instant at that point when it is moving towards north. Velocity keeps on changing because the direction is changing at each and every point. So if at this point the velocity is v1, which is 5 centimeter per second, towards the north. Direction is towards the north. After traversing 1/4 of the path, its velocity is 5 centimeter. So if this is the full path, 1/4 will be this part. Okay, if after completing this path, when it reaches here, the velocity will be v2, which is 5 centimeter per second, and the direction is towards east. This v2 is towards east, v1 is towards north. So indicate the change in velocity. So we have to find the change in velocity from v1 and v2. Okay, that is what you have to find, change in velocity. So to find the change in velocity, let us draw another diagram of v1 and v2. If this is v1 towards north, v2 is towards east. v1, this is v2. To find the resultant or change, this will be the direction, because we are finding the change. This will be del v, that is the change of velocity. Now to find the change of velocity, you have to find v1 plus v2, which will be, this is again over here we have to apply the Pythagoras theorem. That is, if you want to find del v, you have to apply Pythagoras theorem. That will be under root v1 square plus v2 square. So v1 is 5 square, v2 is again 5 square. So after solving this, we get 7.1. Okay, 7.1 centimeter per second. So now the direction of this change in velocity is, it's south of the east. It is directing towards south of the east. Okay, that will be the direction, and this is how you find the velocity. This is the question number 3. Now we'll move to question number 8. Question number 8 is, when a force of 10 Newton acts on a body, the body is displaced 2 meters in the direction of the force. Calculate the work done. Now work done, force is given, displacement is 2. Work done is force multiplied by displacement. So 10 into 2, which will be 20. Unit of work done is joule. This is for question number 8. Now for question number 13. Okay, the question number 13 is, there are two vectors, a and vector b. Then find the magnitude of a plus b and a minus b. Now this kind of question and this kind of vectors you haven't seen. There is a vector a. Now this I and j are the direction along x and y axis. This is x, y and z axis. Okay, these are the unit vectors. I, j, k are the unit vectors. So question number 13, two vectors are given. A is 3i plus 2j. B is only I means 1i minus 2j plus 3k. So from here you will learn how to add and subtract a vector which is given in addition with the unit vector. So you have to find, okay, this is the question. So over here you need to find a plus b. So in order to find a plus b, you can only add I and I. You can only add j and j. J and k will not be added or subtracted. You can only add the same kind of unit vector. So it will be 3 plus, when you are adding it, it will be 3 plus 1. It will be 4i. Then again here, plus 2 minus 2 will be, this part will be 0, so no need to write over here. Then k. In this A vector, k is not mentioned, only k is mentioned in the vector B. So you can directly write plus 3k. Now to find the resultant vector, what do we do is, whenever we add two vectors, what we have done? We have made a triangle, we have found the hypotenuse. But everywhere we don't have to do that. Okay, everywhere we don't have to draw the triangle and do from the beginning. Directly what we can do is put these two numbers under root. So whatever is the resultant is your answer. So 4 square is 16, 3 square is 9. It will be under root 25, which is equals to 5. A plus B is 5. Similarly, we need to find A minus B. So for A minus B, in the same number, it is A minus B. So 3 minus 1. First, for I, it will be 2i. 2 minus of minus 2 will be plus 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4j. And k is not mentioned over here, so you can directly write 3k. Again, instead of making the triangles and all, you can directly put inside the root and calculate the values. So this will be under root 29. This is for A minus B. This is how you subtract and add vectors. Okay, if there is another vector C, similarly you will add this. It's very simple. Okay, there are a few more questions in the book. You can try it out. With that, we will move on to multiplication of vectors. Okay. So question number 18. I'll solve question number 18. Question number 18 is if vector A and vector B are perpendicular, then calculate the value of C. Vector A is I cap plus Cj plus 5k. Vector B is 2i plus j minus k cap. So now I have already told you that when you multiply a vector, the solution or the ultimate answer can be a scalar or either a vector. Now for this one, what we do is how to calculate C when two vectors are perpendicular. Okay, when two vectors are perpendicular, if vector A and B are perpendicular this way, then vector A dot B will be 0. Just remember this. If two vectors are perpendicular, then the dot product of that vector will be 0. Now why is this so? I'll just explain you that. What is A dot B? A dot B is AB cos theta. Okay, AB cos theta. Now AB cos theta means, what is the angle over here? Perpendicular means 90 degree. So AB cos 90 degree. What is the value of cos 90? The value of cos 90 is 0. So ultimately this becomes 0. So whenever we need to prove if the vector is perpendicular or not, then what we do is we do the dot product. If the answer comes out to be 0, then it is perpendicular. Okay, this is how we find out. So now in this case, these two vectors are already perpendicular, but we have to find this. You have to find the value of C. So you will find out the dot product of A dot B. A dot B. So A is nothing, means 1i plus Cj plus 5k dot b is 2i plus j minus k is equals to 0. So this has to be 0. This is 0 in case two vectors are perpendicular. So in order to find the cross dot product, we directly multiply. Directly multiply means I multiplied by I. 1 into 2, 2 plus c into, if nothing is there with j, it means 1. This will be c. Now again 5 into, nothing is there with k, it means 1. So it will be 5 into minus 1 minus 5 is equals to 0. Now why I am not writing ijk? Because a dot b, dot product is a scalar. When it is a scalar, we do the dot product. When it is a vector, we do a cross product. So this will be c minus 5 plus 2 is minus 3 is equals to 0, or c is equals to 3. So c is equals to 3, that is the answer. This is how you find a dot product. In any situation, when you have to find a dot product, you directly multiply the variables of the unit vector. This is for question number 18. Now I'll do the last question, that is question number 21. There are two vectors a and b, and you have to prove that these two vectors are parallel to each other. So vector a is 4i plus 3j plus k, and vector b is 12i plus 9j plus 3k. You have to prove that these two vectors are parallel to each other. Now whenever we need to find we need to prove this is parallel, then we do the cross product, a cross b. This should be 0. Now why this should be 0? We know that a cross b is ab sine theta. If it is parallel, suppose if two vectors a and b, if it is parallel, the angle between your theta will be 0 degree. So what is the value of sine 0? Sine 0 is 0. So this whole value will be 0. That is why we do a cross product and we check if it comes 0 or not to prove that the two vectors are parallel. So when we, after doing the cross product, if the answer comes out to be 0, then they are parallel. So now how do we find the cross product is, we solve it using the matrix method. So it will be a cross b. In a matrix, we solve like this. Okay, what is I? I is 4. For the first equation, for a, I is 4. For b, I is 12. For j, it is 3. It is 9. For k, it is 1. It is 3. Now let us solve this. First of all, for I, when you have to solve for I, we just multiply this two part. 3 into 3 will be 9. 9 into 1 will be 9. 9 minus 9. Again, now we will solve for j. I think you have done matrix, so I don't have to explain you in detail. Now for j, we multiply I and k part. So 4 into 3 is 12 minus 12 into 1 is 12. Again, for k, 4 into 9 is 36, 12 into 3 is 36. So what we can see is, this part 9 minus 9 will be 0, this part is also 0, so this part is also 0. So ultimately what you are getting is 0. So what I have told you, if you get a cross b is 0, then two vectors are parallel, and the angle between them is 0 degree. So hence it is proved. Hence proved these two vectors are parallel. So this way you can solve these questions for vectors. Okay, this much for today. In the next class, I will start a new chapter that is laws of motion. Thank you.